Hi Shelby, this is an attempt to address I think the last thing you emailed, which is I also don't want this for the bad command. Any suggestions? And I honestly didn't follow exactly what you meant, but this cued me into looking at your this is on the left, this is your while loop, and then I realized something about switch and case that I don't think we addressed earlier. When you start on a switch, you're going to get your input, so you have your input, and then you're going to use that as the thing that determines where you will start in your while. So what that does is, so say we type in a C, and that's our input. So now switch is taking in that variable input, and then it checks which one of these does that match. Well, it matches this one, so it's going to start here. And then it will proceed through and actually do everything else after it. So that means it will go all the way to the end. That means it will print out this. There are lines and count. There are blank lines and count. And I found that out because when I got your code back and working, I think this is your code. If I typed L and I search for a code, it doesn't yet tell me the result, and it does tell me the count, so that clued me into that we must be doing this. And then it returns 0, and then it quits. So that means it's done. I can't do anything else after that. Let me just verify that that matches here. Yeah, it just quits. If I run it again, and if I say, I wonder if I type a bad command, will it work? R. Okay, so that does work, and then it goes all the way through and issues the bad command. Looks like it does it twice, so it looks like there's a little bit more debugging to do there. Oh, because it keeps repeating, it repeats again. Yeah. So I entered it a bad command, and it did not satisfy either the L, the Q, or the L, the C, or the Q. So it went down to here, and then the while is going to continue again. And then it prints out again, but it doesn't get a character this time. I'm not sure. That's got me a little perplexed. I don't know why that happened. Oh, yeah, I had this difficulty. Somehow, when I pressed enter, it counted that as a command. Yeah, so every time I press enter, it's counting that as a bad command that it just had. So if I press C again, it's going to do it, and then it quits because, like we said, it's going to instead it's going to go to, oh, C is what we said. But if it goes to here, and then it goes to the end. How to avoid that? You see my while loop on the right. You can see it's almost identical. The only thing I added is the other of these breaks. If I misled you in any way, I'm sorry about that. The idea is, so now when I enter a C here, we're going to go to this location, and then we're going to continue. Oh wait, it's a break. Okay, that means I go back to the top of the while. Yeah, and I think this behavior, while it's hard to see why we would want this, it is useful if there's multiple things that happen. If you can imagine some scenario where you have to do multiple things, but you want to start at a certain step, then you do this and this and this and this. It's also valuable so we can do the bad command, because without the bad command, without having a default, it needs to go here to here, here, and then it needs to, if it doesn't find anything it likes, then it's going to start at the default spot, and then it takes in whatever that command was and prints it out. I used a string here. That was totally unnecessary. You have a character, which is fine and totally agrees with what your professor said. I decided to handle the case of maybe someone enters a bunch of letters, and it actually would print out for the user. Actually, we don't want all of those letters. So I think if I do my example real quick, running of my example, if I type in D, it doesn't work, and if I type in SDF, it also doesn't work, and I print out that whole thing. But we do need a character inside of the choice variable, because inside of choice here, oh, I must have declared the choice variable above. I only grabbed the 0th element there. Alright, I hope that's remotely helpful.